Buy this freaking app, it'll make you happy. Buy my app. All right, like a total dumbass, I did not film myself doing the inspection on this engine when it came in, just coming in off our truck. But I wanted to go over with you, because this is tips for your swap. I don't know, this is part 2, part 10, how the fuck do I know? I'm not that smart. Anyway, let's go through it. So I have kind of an order of things that I do. First thing I do when the engine comes in, I want to check to make sure it does not have a cracked flex plate, which would be a crack here, here, there, and there as the center breaks out of it. You're gonna have to look at my videos for why I care about that, but I do. The next thing I do is I put it up on a wood block, or otherwise make sure that on the pallet it can spin, that the engine can spin, and I put a bar on it and I test the compression. In theory, I should put a starter on it and test the compression properly, but I don't. I just do it by hand and I got a feel for it. This one's got good compression, not a problem. All right, next thing I do, very important. For reasons unknown, the junkyards are great about getting these 2 bolts out, whereas you, when you have to go change your cap, will snap off the fucking bolt in this thing. I suppose they use an induction heater, but I don't know. Anyway, I inspect these 2 bosses, and on the other side too, because I don't want to have to start drilling and tapping. You know, why not just reject the engine and get another one? I called yesterday, they had, I think, 60 of these to choose from. This particular one is from a 17 Caravan. I know that because I selected that, but I could have told you that in a couple of different ways. There'll be a code printed on here, the body code of a Caravan, which I don't know. Also, the upper intake manifold will be slightly different. It'll have this for Caravan and Journey and a few, who cares? The only real difference between this and a Promaster intake manifold is that little slot that your evap pump goes into. That'll just flop around on your new engine. You don't care. Everything else is literally identical. Not even literally, it is identical. Okay, then, now I've established that it's got good compression and that it doesn't have any broken things in here. Then I go to the next step, which is this. This is the oil pump solenoid control connector. 2 wires, 2 pins rather, and I have made a little device. You can do that, or you can just do it by hand with, I don't know, alligator clips or whatever, the, you know, nipple clamps or whatever you do. But what I did is I took an old one, I cut it up, I labeled it ground and positive. In this case, what color is this? Purple with white is the ground and the black is the positive, and that's the connector that goes on there. I plugged that in, I put my meter on it, and I'm looking for 22 ohms, 22.1, 22.4, anywhere in that range. 19 is too little, 27 is too high, that kind of thing. It's a little bit sensitive, but that tells me that the solenoid is intact, and if I cared enough, because you don't want to buy an engine with that has the solenoid out. Why would you do that? That's just another step for you. I could also put 12 volts to those 2 wires, and hear the solenoid click would tell me that it's good. But by measuring the resistance, I'm fairly confident that it's good. Okay, now the rest of the check-in procedure is pretty straightforward. I pull the upper intake, I have to pull all the coils out, and in this case, I think this thing's on its original coils at, I don't know what he told me this was at, 100 something or high, maybe it's under 100, I'm not sure. These coils, the boots will separate. I can get this out with a pair of pliers or whatever. It's not a big deal, but this made it a little hard. But anyway, I pull all the coils. I pull the little Christmas trees off the valve covers, because the goal is to get the valve covers off and examine the cams. I do not want to buy it if the cams are gacked, because then I'm going to have to put a cam in. Now these cams are going to come out when I replace the rockers, and that's fine, but I want to know, I want to have 4 known good cams, and the way you do that is you just feel them. A cam with a bad lobe, I have multiple videos on this, and I don't know if I have any, I guess I do. Maybe this will be time for an edit. Did I ever tell you about the time I went bowling in the nude? I was in my early 20s, I was playing a gig at a bowling alley, and apparently you can get a picture of martinis, and the next thing I know, many of us were nude. And the lady that owned the bowling alley comped our shoe rental. She found that so enjoyable. That's a true story. This is a cam that's in the trash. Why? Because it's bad, and that's what you're looking for. When the rocker seizes and the roller doesn't turn, it slides over the cam and it gouges out. We've looked at this many times. I thought this one had 2. Yeah, the frame also the frame of the rocker chews in, so you can see how that's been chewed on that side. And the same story over there. That's what you're trying to avoid. That's a bad cam. Not that this cam wouldn't work, because it's still got enough lobe to work, but why would you want to fuck with that when you have 60 engines to choose from, and they'll put it right back on the truck and take it right back to wherever engines go to die. When I'm in here, I want to see that this engine was maintained, and it was. This one has a light golden color, which is perfectly normal. Really bad engines will be dirty and sludgy. Really great engines will look like a surgeon's, you know, I don't know, underpants or whatever. We'll match that for, you know, raw aluminum for cleanliness. But this is fine. I see no glitter in here. I see nothing, you know, abnormal. I see nothing lying around. I see nothing to worry about. I also kind of look at the chain. Because it's here, you can put a 27 on there and turn it and watch the chain. If you wanted to, you could line up the cams. I don't know why you'd want to. Here's your Molly gasket, valve cover gasket kit, set, whatever. Comes with all the spark plug tube seals, 2 new valve cover gaskets, and I guess it would be a cam sensor, cam position sensor seal. There's your part number. I prefer Molly, but it doesn't really matter. Or Melee, if you like. You can also, as you can see, you can buy the valve cover gaskets individually. This is not expressly necessary. Most of the time, a valve cover on a relatively low miles engine will come off where you can reuse it. But if you're there, it's up to you. And you don't have to go back in if it leaks. There's not much else to know about that. I usually use my best judgment on the gasket sets. Here's your Dorman 3036 XD fancy aluminum thermostat housing with thermostat element. Here's your Dorman, real deal, not bought from Amazon because those will be counterfeit. 926959 oil filter housing cooler assembly thingamajiggy. These are 2 very worthwhile upgrades. You'd be foolish not to do them. I should also add that your 926959 comes with upper and lower intake gaskets. What you might want to do is replace the sensor, the oil pressure sensor. As a matter of fact, you probably should, since you're putting that in new. Those are known to go bad, and they'll throw a P0520, 521, or 522 code when they do. It won't affect anything, but as you can see, I got them on the shelf ready to put in. It's a long story, but there's 2 styles. I want to say it's 2020 and up, the connector style. The sensor's the same, but the connector's slightly different. So if you go to put yours back together and that won't fit, you would have to either go back to the old sensor or an old style sensor or upgrade to the new one, depending on what van you're putting it in. I found something very interesting with this engine, which might be worth the price of admission for you to come in. Okay, you see, oh, I'm gonna go get a light. Okay, we've talked about this many times, but these 2 bolts that I'm gonna show you, see that 13mm bolt right there in the center of your screen that's all blurry and I don't have a hand free to focus the camera, and the one next to it, those 2 right there, those are the oil galley bolts. You can see that they lead to these long passages, and that's what feeds oil to the rockers, to the lifters, and then eventually the rockers, and then it squirts everywhere and it oils. Okay, these bolts are the galley plugs, and they do what? They allow a machine to bore that bolt and make, you know, a long thingy to clean up that bore, and then they tap it, and then they put the bolts in to seal it. Well, the Pentastar has an issue with the galley bolts working loose. What would happen when the galley bolt would work loose? Well, I tell you, if the galley bolt works loose, that whole rail, that pressurized oil rail, won't have any pressure or won't have enough pressure. The lifters will not be pumped up, and more importantly, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that galley is what feeds oil pressure to the phasers here, which control the cam timing. They're basically pressure relief valves. So your cam timing will be off, and that'll throw all kinds of codes, and that's all well and good. But look what I found here, and this is the somewhat common problem. Now, I've never seen one at this exact stage, but look what's happened. I've never seen one quite that bad, but look what's happened. It's worked itself almost all the way out. The other one's okay. But look how close it is, if I can display this to you. If that continues to come out, it's gonna do one of 2 things. It's gonna rub on the back of the phaser there, or it can fall out. And then it's it's a pachinko machine of doom as it goes tumbling down past the chain path, and hopefully it makes it into the pan without destroying all kinds of shit on its way down. That's very scary. Luckily, this one's like that. Once I have the phaser off, I'll just go tighten it back up and I'll Loctite it, and that won't be a problem. But to my eye, That is far enough out where oil was probably seeping out of the galley, depressurizing that rail that you're looking at there and causing cam timing codes. Is it possible that that's what took this engine off the road, this otherwise good compression, well-maintained, clean, oil-changed engine in a minivan? Very possible. Because that right there, ain't gonna fly. It's gonna leak oil pressure out, and you're gonna have all kinds of cam codes on bank 2, cam 1, I believe that is the intake cam. As you can see, the injectors, because the red hats there, have never been off. Nobody's ever pried at those. They still got their inspection marks on them. These coils, that's not an original coil. These are Densos, as noted by the thing. So somebody did a tune-up on this. That tells me I might not find the proper plugs in there. But I don't see any other evidence of molestation anywhere on here. By the way, you need to take the PCV valve off to get the rear valve cover off. Here's something super important. Is one of the few parts that gets changed over from your old engine to your new engine. This is the fuel rail that sits on top of the injectors, and this is the fuel input on a Promaster engine. It comes in from the transmission side. The fuel line comes in, and then the thing, and it does the injectors. When you go here and you look on a minivan engine, you'll note a marked difference. Here's the fuel rail, and the fuel comes in on the passenger side. Oh boy, from the other side of the engine. What's the solution? Well, you can take your old Promaster upper and lower while you're doing the oil cooler and just bolt them on, or you can undo these 4 and pry up the rail itself and pull it off. I am going on this particular one, just because I want to keep that other engine complete, I'm going to use a Promaster rail because the fuel intake is on the driver's side or the transmission side. The belt path in a minivan engine is identical to a Promaster. Tensioner, the AC compressor roll bolt there, that's the water pump and the idler. This gets changed in the swap to your old one. Shockingly, looks almost identical, yet isn't. One of these 3, I forget which one, has different threads. You won't be able to get, you'll only be able to get 2 of them on if you fuck up and use that one. But that has to come off anyway, because I'm gonna upgrade the coolant crossover, and I'm gonna upgrade the thermostat, and I'm gonna upgrade the oil cooler, and I'm gonna upgrade all the rocker arms, and I'm gonna replace any lifters I find. Did we talk about lifters? All right, by the way, this is how you test a lifter. You can test it with it still in the block, that's fine. Just squeeze it if it's in the block, just push down on it hard. And if it compresses at all, if it feels spongy, go ahead and replace it. Use only these bought from a dealer. They're expensive, but you probably have 3 or 4 in any given engine that are soft. They would probably be fine, but I mean, it's a second to do it, so what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? There's not really much you're looking for with the chain. These are quite taut because I've been rotating the engine. By the way, only rotate the engine clockwise. Not that anything weird would happen if you did it the other way, but who knows, something weird might happen, and that's its normal rotation. You can reuse these pulleys if you want. This one's got a tiny bit of play. This one's fine. One other thing, and I didn't notice it till just now, although it wouldn't cause me to reject this engine, is it came without a dipstick. The minivan and Journey and all the other Pentastars have a much shorter, not much, but I mean it's like that much shorter than the Promaster, as you expect, because in most cars the hood line is here, and then the Promaster it's way up here. So the stick is longer, and all the other ones have a flat blade as opposed to the Promaster's silly cable bulletin thing. You can leave the old dipstick on, and you'll have to, this bolt's in there, and you'll have to bend it a little bit, but it'll work. You just have to reach down in to get to the stick. You can use the one that's correct for the Journey. Obviously, don't mix and match tubes and sticks because they're different lengths. The point of this discourse is that getting the dipstick out of there, where it goes into the oil pan, into the upper oil pan, is kind of a bitch. Sometimes they come out, but very often they don't. No matter how you beat, pound, and heat, and you're worried about catching the fucking thing on fire, eventually you'll give up, take the oil pan off, and beat it out from the inside with something. You'll push it out, and then you can get a Promaster dipstick and tube from the dealer for like, I don't know, 25 bucks for the pair. or you can opt to use the old one. There's a similar story here on the valve cover with the oil fill tube. I don't have one in front of me, but you see that? See how that's at an angle? Well, in the Promaster, that angle is about here. It's much closer to 45 degrees. Again, because the shrouding of the cowl there, the front core support, you know, you have to get in there. And on the Promaster, this, when it's the Journey or minivan fill tube, it will crash into that air tube, that fresh air intake that goes to the air filter. Again, you can get around that. It'll still work, but it is kind of awkward. You'll have to fight to get the cap off because it's wedged up against the against that air intake. So if you can, use your old fill tube. I'm gonna wash it a little bit. I'm not gonna go ape shit, but I'm gonna, you know, I'll shoot some gunk on it, foamy, and I'll hit it with a wire wheel on a long thing on a drill, just to kind of clean it up. Maybe I'll shoot it with clear. I probably should be the guy that does that and presents these beautiful engines, but I might not be that guy. One final thing to note before I close this video out is the transmission locating dowels. They're just little metal dowels that locate the transmission to the engine. One will be here and one will be here. When that engine finally comes out tomorrow, it'll probably have one of the two in it. Sometimes it has both in it. Sometimes both stay in the transmission. Obviously, in this case, whenever they pulled this out of the minivan, both of them stayed in the transmission. They both have to be there. If they're not there, you're gonna crack a flex plate. And they can be bitchy because that one isn't so bad because you can get to the front side of it. This one, the hole behind it is blind somewhat. Well, you can get something in there and pound them in and out. Do I have one to show you? Thought I might have one on these two junk transmissions to show you, but I don't. It's a dowel locating pin. You'll figure it out. You're smarter than that. All right, well, wasn't that enough? It was enough for me. Let's get back to it. I guess then part 3 will be, what the hell will part 3 be? Part 3 will be the final, getting this out, and then some tips about getting that back in once it's prepped. God, I love making these videos for you fuckers. It's my thing I do. Love you. See you next time. Goodbye. My app, Promaster phone app, custom Promaster phone app, it'll make you happy. Buy my app, buy my goddamn app.